Hello friends, it's Candence and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I wanted to actually take a little look into one of Rolly's most recent videos because there was something in that video where he reacted to a nipple piercing that was actually stretched, and he actually mentioned that he's never seen a nipple piercing that was stretched that large. And I thought it was kind of strange, so I'm just gonna go ahead and play the little clip of his reaction and do a slight commentary on that, and then just move on to Instagram, and we're gonna react to some stretched nipple piercings. While we're here, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at CandenceL. You can DM me any sort of pictures you want me to react to or anything that you think is cool. I would really love to make a video full of your guys' DMs, or even you can send me some of your naked ears or even pierced ears and I can maybe curate some ears. I'm working on a video like that right now. Beyond that, I think that's all I really have to say. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's just get on into this video. So first I'm just gonna watch his little clip just to give a little reaction, you know, a little taste of his own medicine. Just react to his thoughts and then branch off from there. So let's just get going.
So this is from Chloe. What is that? I mean, each to their own. There is a stretcher in the middle.
That's the thing. I love Rolly just with the best of them. He does probably some of the most / best piercing content on YouTube, but I really don't like when he's judgmental, you know what I mean? Like, to each their own. Like, isn't that rude? Like, if someone went up to you and was just like, I know it's not in person, but if someone went up to him and saw his ears and was like, well, to each their own. Like, that's a little bit freaking judgmental. Like, you had a nipple piercing too. What makes this any different? Anyway, let's just keep watching it.
A surface piercing on the front and then a surface piercing behind it. How is your nipple not like? Also,
a stretcher in the middle. It's not a stretcher. It's large gauge jewelry. It's just jewelry. And then a surface bar. Especially with males, nipple piercings tend to be surface piercings anyway. For some females, nipple piercings are surface piercings, so I just think that's a little bit of a strange thing to point out. Like, the nipple piercing he had was definitely a surface piercing, just like all three of these nipple piercings. It's a very common thing to have a male, even some females. Obviously, I haven't seen I don't know if I've seen any female nipple piercings with a stack on them, but you know, you don't frequently see female nipples on Instagram, and I don't really like seek those out typically, but like plenty of people have like multiple nipple piercings, and it's kind of cool. Usually you have the front one that's a little bit more shallow, and then that typically heals, and then you can easily get a piercing behind it, and it looks like this person's nipples were large enough that they were able to do that multiple times and then even get away with stretching it. And yeah, you can stretch nipples big like that. It's the same prerogative that you may have if you want to stretch your ears or your septum or your conches or whatever, especially for genital piercings, even though nipples are a little bit of a gray area on that one. But people tend to stretch piercings. Like, it introduces a newer sensation. I don't know about that, but I could imagine that the weight might add a new sensation if you got like something pulling on your goodies. Like, I don't know, if you're a guy, maybe you like nipple play. Having that big stretched hole in the middle might help you with that. So, you know, I feel like he's being extremely judgmental about this person's nipple and their choices, and it's kind of bizarre for someone who's in this piercing community with us. Come on, let's support each other.
Bye, girl. I'ma head out. Like, I don't understand how this is in your body. Like, I don't understand how this is in your body. I don't understand.
It's time to bleed.
How is this a thing? I can't. Oh, I don't. And it makes me cringe. It makes me cringe. I've never in my life seen a stretcher in the nipple. I mean, I've seen people like stretch it up a little bit, but not like to this size. This almost looks like the size of my ear.
Okay. So, well, that's the end of his video. Really hate that he calls it a stretcher. It's just jewelry. It's just a plug or a tunnel. I couldn't really tell from that picture if that was a plug or a tunnel, but it looked perfectly healed and like really well taken care of. I know normally his criticisms are like, oh, you gotta keep your piercing clean. And that's usually his judgment, but it's like, it's just someone who wanted 3 nipple piercings. Like, what's really the big problem with having 3 nipple piercings on one? If you want it and you can successfully heal it, which this person has. Anyway, I thought we could go right on into Instagram. I was just gonna search Instagram. I don't even have anything pre-saved like I usually do. And I'm just gonna search stretched nipples. So I'll probably try to skip over the ones that are not relevant, but let's do this. Stretched nipples. Okay, right off the bat, there's a ton. Like, how on earth can you not... He's like... I've never seen one that big. Like, the first one is a huge one. And honestly, besides this, I've seen plenty. Like, if you've seen any piercing, like, magazines or pictures, even at the piercing shop I go to, there's, like, a lot of, like, old artwork or, like, photographs of, like, old piercing, like, legends or, like, even, like, native people or, like... I don't really know, like, people, like, more indigenous to places that's really a big part of their culture to get piercings. They'll have things like that, and there's pictures like that just show, like, the history of piercings and stuff, and a lot of people have really big stretched ears, lip piercings, and even, like, nipples, and there's even, like, pictures of people with their genitals pierced on the wall at the piercing shop that I go to. Because we're just here to celebrate people's piercings and, like, lift people up and not to judge people on what they choose to do. So I think this one's, I mean, I wouldn't do it. I don't know if I even could do it. I don't know if lady nipples really... What is that noise? I don't know if like lady type of nipples really lend themselves to being stretched in a similar way, and especially being, like, stacked like that. I wouldn't get it, but that doesn't mean I can't appreciate it and think it looks really cool. So this person has a tunnel in their nipple. They said they finally reached their goal. How old is this? 2017. There are probably going to be some really old ones because I'm assuming people don't really share the hashtag stretched nipple very frequently, but that's okay. Finally reached my goal, 10 millimeters, 00 stretched nipple piercing. That's awesome. Could you imagine how much that probably hurt to stretch that up? Oh my gosh, like, getting it pierced, but, like, it's a sensitive area regardless. Stretching that nipple to that size must have taken years. I can't even imagine, like, the type of pain or, like, the pressure. That's crazy. But it looks awesome, and, you know, honestly, I don't know about you, but I'd stick my finger in that. Is that, like, so weird to say? I mean, like, I don't want to, but, like, if it was presented to me, like, I probably would. Okay, these are 6-gauge single flared nipple plugs. Okay, cool. Oh, I wouldn't think that you could wear, like, a single flared plug on a nipple, but I guess it's the same. You could just wear an O-ring. I would think I would, if I did that, like, I would want it to be even on both sides, but that's really cool. What is this even made of? Gold sheen set for my brother. I have no idea. There's no nipples in that, though, so we can skip it. This person, let's see if it says... Another big banger. Talk about pain. Of course, I'm in love with it. Now time to rest until back to work on Wednesday. So it doesn't look like a fresh piercing. Oh wait, this is not even... That's just a tattoo. I thought the pain was from the freaking nipples. But yeah, so these are just... I don't know. They're probably like 6 or... What's the next one? 6 or 4 gauge? That could probably be a 4 gauge. That's probably like a 4 gauge nipple piercing, and that's pretty cool. This one's cool. Stretching these handsome nipples to an 8 gauge. So these are probably the sizes that Rolly was talking about with the smaller, like, seeing them stretched a little bit. So this is like just a baby stretching person. Like, they'll probably stretch it up larger and larger. Super cool. You know, I don't know what it is about stretch piercings. They're just so satisfying. No matter where they are, they're just, like, so cool and satisfying to look at, because you know that, like, that person has accomplished things. Even if they got that stretched piercing punched and it's not technically stretched, or at least they didn't stretch the whole way, it's sort of an accomplishment to heal a punch because it's a lot more intense, or even like a larger gauge needle. It's just really intense, and I think you're pretty hardcore if you can get down with like a really thick needle going through your nose or your nipple or your genitals or whatever, however, whoever. I just think I'm just going on such a little tangent. But then to stretch the piercing up further than that, even especially from really small, like if this person's nipple was originally pierced at a 16 gauge, probably shouldn't be pierced any smaller than a 14 gauge, to be fair, but some people get it pierced really thin. But imagine stretching all that. You really feel like you earned your piercing. You really feel like you earned that size jewelry. You know what I mean? I just think it's like really cool and satisfying. And I don't know. I feel like we should like applaud anyone, especially like if you're stretching your nipples. Like anyone can stretch their earlobe, but like your nips, like, oh my gosh, that is something to be proud of if you can stretch that up. Stretch rad dude's nipples from a 12 gauge to a 10 gauge. So these are little babies. They're still little babies. Who knows if they get any bigger. The thing about, I don't want to say that anyone enjoys getting their nipples like pulled on or something. But the thing about nipple jewelry is we've all heard of the cheese cutter effect that happens with earlobes. Like if you have really heavy earrings and you have 20 gauge earrings in, over time it can pull and cut at your ear. So basically, if you have a nipple piercing and it's only at, say, a 14 gauge, or I hope not a 16 gauge for your sake, say it's at a 14 gauge. If you, by chance, this is like a kind of a strange topic, but, you know, whoever's watching, don't make any assumptions about me. I just know things about piercings, okay? But if you have a nipple piercing and you enjoy, how they say, nipple play, which I'm assuming involves a lot of like pulling or like maybe aggressive sucking. I have no idea, maybe twisting. I don't know what you're into. If you're into that, you would probably, first of all, enjoy nipple piercings. It would probably just like add to your sensations, you know what I mean? But the other thing is, if you have a 14 gauge barbell in there and someone is starting to pull on it, it'll probably feel good, but the cheese cutter effect and like trauma similar to that can still happen. So if you really enjoy nipple play and you really want some like intense nipple play, probably stretching your nipple piercings, even the next size up, will help you have a more comfortable experience. That was actually told to me by a piercer because I was getting my nipples pierced, and I didn't ask any questions, but he just volunteered the information that the thicker jewelry makes nipple play more comfortable, which makes sense because the thicker bar adds a lot more surface area. So instead of the cheese cutter effect happening to your nipple, if you're like getting it played with or whatever, it's a little bit more of a surface area and it's not quite such like a fine pull on your tissue, if that makes sense. So especially it makes more and more sense as you get up to like a 0 gauge. If you pull on it, it's not pulling in one tiny spot, it's like dispersing that pressure. But a similar thing still happens even with smaller gauges. So if you got pierced at a 14 gauge and you're having some discomfort, perhaps moving up to a 12 gauge might help. If you were pierced with a 12 gauge, which don't say it doesn't happen, because good piercers do usually pierce nipples with a 12 gauge, in my experience anyway. But if that gets pulled on at all, even if you're talking about getting snagged in the shower, if it's a fully healed piercing, a 10 gauge barbell will have a lot less likely to cause some sort of ripping than a 14 gauge. It will be a lot more stable of a piercing, if that makes sense. And that's sort of what I've gathered from nipple piercings. So anyone who's getting thicker nipple barbells either is like, if I were to do that, it's because I'd be terrified that it would get ripped out or something, like even just like taking a bra off or whatever the case is, taking a shirt off. Also, if someone's stretching a nipple, it might just be because they like to get them pulled on. Like, you know, you can't judge people's preferences, you know what I'm saying? This one you can hardly see. This one's crazy. Oh my gosh, look how big those balls are. Who knew I'd be saying that? Look how awesome that looks. I mean, like, we're talking about like aesthetics of the jewelry. Whatever. If I like the looks of stretched piercings, go judge yourself, okay? The title of the video is called Stretch Nipples, so we're talking about appreciating some stretch nipples. And this looks good. This looks clean and healthy. Looks like there's plenty of tissue to support it. Doesn't look like it's about to like get pulled out or anything. It looks really secure and it just looks freaking rad. Like, how could you Oh my gosh, it just seems so intense to stretch your nipples that big to where you could have these huge massive balls on it. I don't know. It just seems crazy. But imagine if you took them out. I can't even think how it might look. Like, I'm sure it would shrink up over time, but like right after you take them out, they must like go limp or something. I don't even know. But that's crazy awesome. This video is probably going to get my freaking YouTube channel mad at me or something. 2 millimeters. So that's just a 12 gauge. So that's what like when I got my nipples pierced the second and third time and fourth. What? The third, fourth, and fifth time, different times, not all at once. They were pierced 3 times. I had 12 gauge nipple piercing. So the stretch must be more painful than actually getting the piercing, though. I can't even tell you. Oh my gosh. I don't know if that's right. Because I know male nipple piercings are supposed to go like in the areola a little bit. But this seems a little bit much. And I think on that note, I'm gonna stop the recording. We're gonna end this video here. Let's not judge people's nipples, because I'm trying to make an appreciation post to stretch nipple piercings. Let me know in the comments below, do you want to have stretch nipple piercings? If you're comfortable telling me what reason, or telling people what reasons you desire this, feel free to comment down below. I'd be really interested to know like everyone's reasons for wanting this. But either way, if you want to do this, or if you have done it, comment down below. Let me know. I am really impressed with your guts. That must be a really intense sensation. Seems a little bit intimidating, but I can still get down. I really think that's awesome. Regardless of what you think about stretch nipple piercings, I really hope you learned a little something in this video. I hope you discovered like more about stretch nipple piercings. Let me know in the comments below, did you even know that you could stretch your nipple piercings? Because you can. And you're pretty hardcore if you can. I don't know if I'd be able to do it, but either way, comment down below. Let me know what you think of this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love ya. See you in the next one. Bye. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Oh my gosh, what is this? That wasn't right at all. I'm all out of sorts. Who am I? Okay. Regroup. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love ya. See you in the next one.